We are just days away from potentially one of the biggest crypto airdrops for perp dexes since the likes of Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid had an insane airdrop in November of 2024, and many are expecting the same out of Lighter at the tail end of 2025. That being said, you're probably going to see people on Twitter talk about the likes that they made a few $1,000s, some making tens of thousands of dollars, and some who are walking away 2025 as millionaires. Now, here's the thing is it's easy to take a look at the amount of points that these people have received, the tokens that they're getting airdropped, and be disappointed that you didn't get in early enough. But I want to showcase some of these projects, these perp dexes, that you can still be early enough that you can rewrite your own history in the course of 2026. Now, mind you, there's going to be opportunities. Not every perp dex is the same, but I want to highlight three specifically that I think have a ton of opportunity, that have a ton of upside, and could be extremely rewarding if you get in early enough and you get in before 2026 rolls around. That said, if you're new here, my name is Alex with Top Crypto News, Crypto Passive Income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. Without further ado, let's end the video. Now, the first thing I did was ask Grok what would be the number one perp dex. If you could farm it right now, which one would you focus on? And funny enough, it came back with Lighter. I said, if you could only farm one perp dex airdrop, what would it be? And Lighter was the number one choice. Now, here's the aspect that you need to consider is, yes, season 1 and season 2 for Lighter is over. TGE and the airdrop around the corner. But there was a major hint at season 3 potentially coming for the likes of Lighter. Now, that being said, what we do know is 50% of the tokens are allocated towards the community. What we don't know is what percentage of that 50 goes to season 1 and season 2 versus to season 3. So that is kind of the unknown for right now. But I wouldn't completely disregard the likes of Lighter from being a potential really, really good airdrop farming opportunity down the road post TGE once we get some more insight and information on what the percentages and allocations are going to be, especially when it comes to season 3. So that being said, I think there's plenty of potential, but there are a lot of other options out there. There's almost too many options out there when it comes to perp dexes. And in reality, a lot of them simply do very, very similar things, but just on different platforms. And I think one of the things that, highlighting Lighter very briefly, Lighter did that really changed the game. And I talked about this in an X post earlier because a lot of people like to FUD the fact that Lighter's revenues are significantly lower compared to Aster and Hyperliquid because they have a no fee structure, which would be the same argument that if saying that, Lighter won't be successful because it has low fees. Well, Robinhood also had no fees, and it's become one of the most successful trading platforms in the world. So using that argument of a no fee structure is kind of counterintuitive when those same platforms went on to be the most successful. And in fact, Robinhood invested into Lighter early on. So either way, that is my bull perspective on the likes of Lighter in a potential airdrop down the road, even after this most recent one. But let's talk about some of the ones that are upcoming that I think have a ton of potential, that if you get an airdrop from Lighter, you get airdrops from other platforms, you should look and consider these as your next go-to opportunities where you're getting in not at the very beginning per se, because these have been around, these have kind of built a name for themselves to a certain degree. They've tested, they've gone through their highs and lows, and they're really setting themselves up to be top contenders in 2026. And the first one is Extended. Extended, in my opinion, is number one on this list. If you are not farming anything else, whether that is Aster, whether that is Lighter, you should be paying attention to Extended. Now, here's the thing with all three of these that you should also consider is contributing capital to their vaults for you to be able to simply generate yield is always something to consider. When you look at the TVL, the TVL of these vaults, and you look at the APRs, it is pretty decent without a ton of risk. There's always risk, but it's not a lot of risk comparatively speaking to other ways you can risk, more stable type of assets. So either way, extended, in my opinion, is huge. It's completely underfarmed, and it's a perp dex built by the Revolut team. Now, if you didn't know what Revolut is, it's probably one of the biggest apps in kind of I don't know. It's like a massive all-in-one kind of financial app. A $75 billion valuation just in November. This was more recent news following a successful share sale. Significant jump from 2024. Strong growth, over 65 million customers, 4 billion in revenue last year. It is a super app, and that is what they are. And you can see all the different like successes, if you will, across the board, how well Revolut has done across the world when it comes to the financial app world. Now, take that and you put the team that was behind Revolut and you build out Extended. And that, for me, is what makes this extremely, extremely bullish. Now, the other thing that you have to also consider is points for Extended are already being traded OTC. Now, here's the thing is what we saw with Lighter is people were trading points OTC already. Some were starting as low as 30, then it got to 50, then it got to 70. It got really, really insane pretty quickly. And I think we're starting to see that type of mentality potential with the likes of Extended. I think the team behind it, the platform itself, the TVL that has been growing consistently, the perp volume that from September was at 166 million. We're consistently about 5 times that just 2 to 3 months down the road. And it's really stayed consistent, right? Because you're going to see some of these perp dex volumes out here that have kind of cooled down to a certain degree after a lot of their farming that we've seen, right? So for example, if we take a look at Aster, very, very hot as far as in the course of, let me take out the fees, the perp volume, but you can see the perp volume has slowed down, right? You can see, it was 15 billion on some of these days, and we're now, significantly less, looking at about, 2 billion. So a lot of these have had dramatic drops, but the likes of Extended has stayed pretty consistent. I think the reason for this is because a lot of people see the potential in 2026 for the likes of Extended, and they want to make sure that they're sticking to it because they don't want to miss out on another Lighter. They don't want to miss out on another Hyperliquid. So it's one I highly recommend that you consider. The thing that also to take a look at is the vault itself. If you connect, I'm not going to connect here real quick, but you can see the vaults have a pretty decent APR. It has one of the highest overall TVLs for the vault, sitting at 64 million. But you can see the revenues, the overall P&L 1.4 million, and the APR at about 11%. So once this actually did launch, you can see the cumulative P&L going up. Obviously, there was a dramatic rise when there were a lot of liquidations. So this is one that you can get exposure to kind of the upside of the revenues driven by the platform itself. So I think there's a ton of potential, tons of opportunity to have a general small yield. Now, not every platform gives out points towards those who provide funding towards the vault. So do be mindful of that, but there are opportunities where some have been rewarded by contributing capital to the vault. So it doesn't always require you to trade. Sometimes it's just contributing capital. So be mindful of that. But this is, in my opinion, if nothing else, get exposure to Extended. Now, the second one on my list is Paradex. Now, Paradex has a very substantial amount of TVL. You can see the total value locked sitting at 162 million. You can see, as far as if we take out the fees, the perp dex volume has been pretty decent as well. It's not dropped off dramatically like we've seen with some perp dexes, but I think there's a lot of opportunity to Paradex, and there's a lot of things about Paradex that make it unique compared to a lot of others out there. They also picked up the popularity of zero fee perp with deep liquidity and privacy. So 2 key things, right? Privacy and zero fees. The zero fees were popular or made popular by the likes of Lighter, and this has been taken into consideration. This was back in September, which ironically is where we started to see a lot of that volume grow dramatically for the likes of Paradex. But the volume simply, it's around, I would say, very comparative to the similar volume of Extended. But I think, you know, what you're going to get with the likes of Extended, you just have a team that has a strong reputation and experience and execution in the likes of Revolut. So either way, I think everything with what we see with Paradex also looks very, very good. The UX, this is one I've been trading on for a little bit. I got some NFTs with Paradex as well. The overall vault itself sitting at 99 million right here. APR sitting around 10%. And this would be my thing. And I'm going to have a future video of me putting in probably a couple of $100 into each one of these vaults, letting it sit there and see what it looks like after a month. Which one provides me the best return from yield when it comes to these vaults, because some of them are a little bit better than others, and anyone can create their own vault. Doesn't mean that it's going to be very profitable, but you're going to see the ones by the actual protocol itself do very well. You see this with the likes of Hyperliquid as well, but you can see total P&L sitting at 7.2 million. But Paradex has been around for a little bit longer, and it is, I would say, a little bit more established. Extended is you're getting in pretty early, and you can see, you know, the followers, you know, you're still getting in pretty early with the likes of Extended. That's why I'm super, super bullish on it. Now, last, but I would say not least, would be EdgeX. Now, EdgeX kind of has a bit of, I would say there's some, maybe not controversy per se, but there's a lot of people that would say there's a lot of wash trading happening on the likes of EdgeX, which I would say is the common denominator amongst all of these perp dexes, where people are trying to accumulate as many points as possible. But you can see that the overall volume on EdgeX is significantly greater. So a lot of people would say it's over farmed. Now, here's the thing is, you could say anything and everything is over farmed. I mean, you look at the overall volume in the last 30 days, 110 billion. You look at the likes of Paradex, you know, it is 1/4 of that volume. So significantly less, maybe close to 1/5, but significantly less. But in the end, you know, I think there's still plenty of opportunity in the likes of the EdgeX. It's not too late until there's a token, and even likes of Lighter, you know, me being able to accumulate almost about 21 points still is going to give me a pretty decent 5-figure or 4-figure airdrop, if I can do my numbers right, but about a 4-figure airdrop, you know, maybe $1,000 or $2,000, nothing too crazy, but still something, even though I was a little late to the game. And I think that's the opportunity with the likes of EdgeX. You're not as early as you would be with the likes of Extended or even Paradex, but there's still plenty of time before anything major does occur. I would say it's one of the more established ones. It's one of the more popular ones, but I think it's one that you can't completely just disregard. I think there's going to be opportunities for the likes of EdgeX, and I think it's one that you can also, when you look at the earning strategy, the overall yield that they generate, if you go through here, or maybe it is, I think it's, let me see here. I'm trying to figure out where this different strategies, some of them name them. Okay, so it's the E strategy. So you can see the vault. The vault has a 71% APR. So obviously significantly greater, significantly larger than what you're going to see with the likes of Extended or Paradex. But in this aspect, it's best to diversify. Don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But some opportunities that exist out there, Hyperliquid has their own, Lighter has their own. Some have requirements. They have to have so many points to be able to participate in the vault. But one thing that I would always recommend is to diversify. Even if you're not wanting to trade, contribute to the vaults and gain some exposure to these platforms. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you expecting a massive Lighter airdrop? Did you farm Lighter early on? Are you going to plan on farming it in the future if there's a season 3? What are the perp dexes you're most excited about going into 2026? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, stay invested.